hell was that?
Oh, it fell.
Before we talk about where we are, we must first remember from whence we came. Marty Schottenheimer brought winning football back to Kansas City and built what is now known as Chiefs Kingdom.
We transitioned from a team built on its defense in the 90s to one of the most dominant offenses and return men in NFL history, led by Dick Vermeil.
In 2012, a 2-14 Chiefs team displayed disastrous play on the field and turmoil off it. We asked to save our Chiefs, and in came Andy Reid, who immediately turned this franchise into a perennial playoff team.
Then, on April 27, 2017, the Chiefs broke free from their journeyman quarterback restraints and drafted Patrick "Levon" Mahomes.
In 6 years with Patrick at the helm, we're back-to-back champs and a dynasty headed towards a three-peat. We are unrelenting for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the allies. Arrowhead Allies.
If you're 9-0 and you know it, go ahead and clap those hands and welcome to Arrowhead Allies, ladies and gentlemen. For the third time in franchise history, you're in it for 9-0. Come get that rep. You guys remember, of course, who could forget 2003, right? Dick Vermeil, the high-powered offense. The Chiefs start 9-0 before Chad Johnson guarantees a victory in Cincinnati, and they get it. How about 2013, the Chiefs' first year of Andy Reid, man? They start 9-0, as X Factor would say. Where that 9-0, of course, came to an end at Denver, the team that was the best team in the AFC that season, and that 9-0 came to an end. So is 10-0 on the table. The Chiefs go to Buffalo, coming off of a crazy win over the Denver Broncos. We're going to cover all of it with our two big guests, guys. I don't even know where to start. This is a loaded show. Welcome to it. You might as well, each and every one of you, buckle up, because Arrowhead Allies has bringing the goods for you today. Noah Groniger, I see you.
I am here, and boy, do we have some guests for you. Pat Mahomes Sr. will be joining the show in about 6 minutes. That's Patrick Mahomes' father, for those of you that have been living under a rock and don't know the man. Great Major League Baseball career, and obviously produced one of the greatest, if not the greatest, quarterbacks of all time. And then we've got former Broncos, former Bills defensive tackle Michael Lodish will be joining the show. Went to 4 consecutive Super Bowls with the Bills, lost those, but he made up for it by winning back-to-back with the Broncos when he joined them. The man just cannot stay out of Super Bowls. His second most all-time with Don Beebe and Steven Gostkowski in Super Bowl appearances, right behind Tom Brady. So, like Clint said, it's a loaded show, folks. Buckle up.
Like it. Sounds good, boys. Oh, Clint, I wanted to bring something up real quick while we have some time. I recall on the show last week, somebody that sounded like you, and in fact kind of looked like you too, said this was going to be a game the Chiefs were going to lose. And you guys remember that one by chance?
That's
that's
incorrect.
Was I hearing things?
We lost. Almost. I made that because we almost did. I had to get prepared. When you make graphics in this business, you got to get prepared for all outcomes. This put me a little behind the 8 ball because the Chiefs blocked that field goal and win, but I did have it ready in case.
Hey, I had the Chiefs losing 2 out of the 3 between the 2 Broncos games and the 1 Chargers game remaining, and I had us winning this game 23-20 with a field goal with the gun. I was almost right. It was a blocked field goal with the gun. And as Andy Reid said, I don't remember a game ending like that. I've seen college games that have ended with, a 58-yard field goal attempt that gets tipped at the line. That never goes anywhere. That happens. But as far as like a major NFL game between like division foes and this kind of a limelight, like I cannot recall a bigger moment. And the fact that people are saying the Chiefs got lucky. Shaggy Shane, I'm just going to you. The Chiefs got lucky. The Chiefs got lucky. 9 times.
The game ball goes to Leo Chanal. When we look back on this game, November 10th, 2024, it's going to be the Leo Chanal got the game ball. He won it. It wasn't a good game for the left tackles. It wasn't a good game for Trent McDuffie. It wasn't. The left tackle struggles led to Patrick Mahomes overthrowing Travis Kelce in the end zone and Xavier Worthy long down the field. So it was a domino effect. But when we look back at the 9th victory of the season, the game ball goes to Leo Chanal because it takes a lot of work to pick up the weaknesses of what the Denver Broncos were putting out on the field in front of him, because they'd kicked already a couple of extra points. So he knew, or Dave Tobe knew, both. We got to give Chanal and Tobe some credit for that block, because he went right in between the guard and the tackle. He put the guard on his behind. I'll keep it PG-13 today, I promise. He put the guard on his behind and reached out and blocked that kick. So game ball goes to Leo Chanal. He's currently outside. He's signing autographs at a Hy-Vee down somewhere in Kansas City, Missouri. They showed it on, somebody was live on Facebook, and they showed the line. It went clear out to the front door to get Leo Chanal's autograph. Leo Chanal deserves these kudos. He deserves the props because he got the game ball. This game was won by Leo Chanal. 35-yard field goal. He made the play.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of luck involved, but as Pat McAfee broke this down, the Chiefs have been engaging towards this all game long. You saw the way they were utilizing different pressures and see who had the weak spot of that offensive line during these kickoffs throughout the game, and how close they were getting throughout the game when the Broncos were kicking the ball. And you saw they found the weak spot. And Leo Chanal, supposedly, according to Mike Pinnell, called his shot and said, "I'm blocking this kick." And so he got through. He made the play. It's all Leo Chanal. And like Andy Reid said after the game, "Daggone, Leo, I'm going to treat you to a cheeseburger." Like you knew this meant a lot to Andy to keep the streak going. It showed you this team really does care about the streak and making sure they continue to forge ahead and separate themselves from the rest of the AFC. It was a massive win for the Chiefs. I thought it was all said and done. I had tweets lined up, ready to go, and when they did that, I lost everything, including my clothes. I'm not keeping it PG, Shane. So it was a matter of just the Chiefs executing. It is luck involved, man, but the relentlessness of this team. I swear, guys, in these 15 games they've won in a row, have we not seen them win in just about every single way? Blowouts, close games, comebacks, blocked field goals, which, by the way, to answer your question, Clint, it's only happened 5 times in the last 30 seasons. And all the previous 4.
That's awesome.
The previous 4 were kicks of at least 49 yards, which means, those kicks are going to be lower because they got to get a lot of power on them. This is a chip shot, and they still blocked it. So this is one of the most unique situations ever, man. So luck and relentlessness.
Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and welcome our first guest this week. You may know him as, well, the man, our guy, our friend, Pat Mahomes Sr. Pat, welcome to the show. Look at you, my friend. It's great to see your face again. How's everything going in your world?
Oh, everything's good, man. Just relaxing, enjoying these close-knit games, and think I done lost about 5 pounds.
Well, Pat, during your illustrious baseball career, did you ever have a team? I know kind of baseball lends itself to some closer games, but did you ever have a team where it seemed like you just couldn't do anything but have these close games? And you kept finding a way to win, as people love to say. They just keep finding a way to win.
Well, I really haven't seen anything like that. This many, close games. Fortunately, we're coming out on the right side of them. But no, I've never really been a part of it being, so close every game. Seems like every game coming down to the last possession, and we've been able to maintain. But I'd like to see a few more blowouts.
Us too.
Hey, Pat. Love you, man. Appreciate you coming on, join us, man. You've been a friend of mine since the last 7 years, going on the Shaggy Shane show at Arrowhead. Before Patrick Mahomes, before your son was even a starter. I can't thank you enough for joining us. Pat, we look at the Chicago Bears situation, and we've seen a lot of upheaval for what's going on with Caleb Williams. We're seeing, the hot topic is that the team is turning on Caleb Williams, and which is really really sad that the Chicago Bears keep doing this to themselves. We don't need to talk about how Patrick was brought along in 2017 because it worked. It worked, and we're on top of the world because of the way the Chiefs brought on Patrick Mahomes. But specifically to the Bears, they had Matt Nagy took Mitchell Trubisky and the Chicago Bears to 2 straight playoffs in 2019 and 2020. So he was able to bring that, but then they had one bad season, and who's the quarterback of the Steelers now? Doggone, his name escapes me.
Russell Wilson.
No, the backup that was with the Bears.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields was brought on, and they forced Justin Fields onto Matt Nagy. And when they didn't become a winner under Justin Fields, Matt Nagy lost his job. Now the same thing's happening with Caleb Williams. He's a rookie. Now they're struggling. The team's turning on themselves. What advice would you give to the Chicago Bears franchise, Pat? Because I know this is a Chiefs show, but the Chiefs got it right. When you see how they failed with Mitchell Trubisky, Justin Fields, and now Caleb Williams, what advice would you give to the Bears?
Well, they've kind of just been snake bitten a little bit. It's any time that, you're picking guys that high. I think Trubisky went second, and Justin Fields went pretty high, and now Caleb going number 1. First of all, your team is already struggling, so it's a big ask to ask, a rookie quarterback to come in and, kind of, fix all those, those leaks that you have. I hated that, they're having to get thrown out there right away and have to, try to figure it out, how to maneuver and how to be a professional, while playing. That's a pretty tough assignment. Patrick was fortunate enough to have Alex Smith and to be able to, get to sit and watch and learn how to be a pro and see how he went about his business. So I think that's key. Patrick could have came out and he could have played the first year, and he'd have been a little bit all over the place. You'd have saw some, exciting stuff, and then you probably saw some mistakes. And but to be able to sit back and see, what was coming on, to get a full year of really digging into that playbook and getting to read those defenses and stuff like that. He said even himself after his first year, when he won the MVP, that he still didn't know how to read defenses. Now, if you could imagine, not knowing how to read defenses, and he just had so much talent that he was over to make some plays, and some guys made some plays for him, and that's a big deal. But he had a lot of great guys. He had Tyreek, he had Kelsey, he had Marcus Robinson, and all those guys that were role players, but really played their role and was able to mask some of the mistakes that he was making by making plays for him. And now when you add Caleb, with a team that doesn't have, Moore is a good receiver, and Keenan Allen's a great receiver, but they haven't been together. He's kind of like putting it all together, on the fly, and that makes it tough. He started off well. They didn't play the best competition, but he was able to get some reps in. Now he has tape out there, and they're able to see that tape and see what he likes to do and see what his tendencies are. So it's just going to make it that much harder, especially when he hasn't seen these defenses and seen the stuff that people are going to try to do to him.
100%.
Pat, my friend, it's always great to talk to you, man. You look great, by the way. So if you're losing 5 pounds, then I need to lose 55 pounds because I'm way behind you, brother. But Pat, the question I have here, whenever we talk, I always love to pick your brain about baseball. I'm a big baseball guy. Obviously, you had an amazing baseball career yourself. So I kind of want to bring it together in unison with you and your son's career. You talk about the Bears being snake bitten. I think it's the opposite when it comes to you guys. For some reason, the Mahomes family just seems to know how to own and dominate certain opponents. And we saw now Patrick has won all these games against the Broncos, owns this division, owns the AFC as a whole, and pretty much damn near owns the NFL when it comes to that. Very few teams have multiple wins against him in the Mahomes era. I want to go back to your career, though. and get back to maybe a particular matchup with a certain batter or a certain team where every time you towed that rubber, you knew you had their ass? What was a couple, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 15 of them? I don't even know. How many of those matchups did you have in your career where you knew each and every time you towed the rubber against a team or an opponent that you were going to get that guy out?
Well, basically there was pretty much three teams that I felt really, really confident every time I took the mound against, and that was going to be the Blue Jays. I was always going to perform well against the Rangers because that was back home, and I knew everybody was looking. So I did pretty well against them in Oakland. For some reason, Oakland had all the big guys, McGuire and Canseco, which I always fared pretty well against them. Then they had my hero Ricky Henderson on their team, and the focus for some reason against those teams was always turned up a little bit. I guess because I'd had success against them, and I knew pretty much how to pitch the batters. I just felt like every time I towed the rubber against them, I was gonna be able to compete and have a chance to win that ball game.
Pat, I want to get into the Chiefs offense a little bit. Of course, 3 weeks ago, the team trades for DeAndre Hopkins. Just kind of talk about the chemistry, and Patrick's talked about it, how there's certain players that transition so smoothly into a team, and he gets traded in the middle of the season, and you can see the chemistry's there. And we've talked about this offense kind of going through some struggles, and the unfortunate part of this whole thing being Rashee Rice gets hurt right out of the gate here in week 3 or whatever it was. And you have Hollywood Brown go out the very first play of the preseason. And that was an entire retooled receiving core that Patrick was going to have to work with. And now fast forwarding to getting DeAndre Hopkins and just how important that is going forward, especially if, hey, Hollywood Brown could come back maybe in, late December, early January, and how much difference this offense can look when that all gets going. And that, by the way, Travis Kelce, just coined a phrase from Pat McAfee, is still Travis Kelce.
Well, I mean, guys, if we're being honest here, we've kind of seen this, the last few years. We've been fortunate enough to win all the games this year, but we've seen it, where we've had struggles early on, a good start and then some struggles, and then they kind of figure it out and it all starts clicking. And I think it's just a deal where you got reps, you got to get those reps in. Now you get a veteran guy like DeAndre. That came in. I mean, he's been around the block. It ain't too much he hasn't seen. So, that's a guy that, knows how to get open. And we're fortunate enough that if you get open, Patrick can normally find you. I know he's missed quite a few this year, but if a majority of the time, if you're open, he's going to be able to find you. And that's why him and Travis are so good. Travis can find space. It's like, they both know where the space is going to be, even if the play isn't called for that space. That once the play starts going, they see the space and they think alike. So I believe DeAndre is just going to be a kind of a guy that knows that too. He's going to know how to find space, and as the other guys get more comfortable with their roles, I think it's going to all click. It's just a matter. It's just taking a little bit longer. This year, because, like I said, you had some new guys come in and they're all starting to get their footing and everything. I think the Kareem pickup was big. That's helping a lot, running the ball and being able to, control the clock a little bit more. It's not going to be as pretty as it was the first couple of years, but I think it's a deal where if it all, clicks at the right time, and they get hot, the offense is going to look better. But with the defense playing the way they're playing, I mean, and Patrick's got to have that mindset that, I can't mess it up. Just as long as I, control it and keep us in the ball game, then we're going to have a chance to win. And we've been able to win 6 or 7 games that way. And that's a formula way we can win. But if it all clicks, then, you can start doing other things that just makes you more dangerous.
Yeah, you kind of touched on a little there, Pat, but I wanted to ask you, kind of take us inside Patrick's game. A lot of people outside of Chiefs Kingdom want to talk about the stats aren't there. He's not playing well, but that's too simplistic of a look at what he's doing on the field as a leader, as a great quarterback that he is, coming up big in those big moments. I mean, you talk about him playing complementary football and coming up big when it matters most and running over the likes of Malik Mustafa in the end zone, as Patrick can only do, coming up big in those big clutch moments.
Well, I mean, y'all all know we have that motto. Players are going to make plays, and that's I know what he's trying to do. He's been off. I mean, he'd be the first to admit that he's missed a lot of throws, and there's a lot of throws out there that he wish he could have back. But I think when it comes down to crunch time and when those throws have to be made, he'll kind of zero in a little bit. Now I know he missed one this week with Travis. That normally doesn't happen, but he feels like that if he has a chance with the ball, if the team has a chance with the ball, late in the game, that they're going to come through it. They've been through it so many times. They feel like they're going to figure out a way. They have a recipe of how to get it done, and until somebody changes that, I mean, they're going to have that mentality. Now we got a big one this week against Buffalo. It'll be interesting to see what happens here, because it seems like when we play Buffalo or Baltimore or Cincinnati, those teams like that, we tend to have a little bit more offense. I think it raises the level a little bit more. I mean, people can say what they want to. Yeah, they're trying to three-peat and they're trying to do all these things, but when you've played as many games as they've played over the last 5 or 6 years, I mean, you're going to have some lulls. I mean, even if you're not trying to, it's going to be some lulls. I mean, this is regular season, and the big picture is to get to the playoffs and try to win the Super Bowl. So it's just a matter of everybody's focus just being a little bit more stronger, and I think they'll be okay.
Pat, I got your rookie card right here, and it's pretty awesome. But when you look at Tom Brady's when you look at Tom Brady's NFL card, if somebody's got the Tom Brady NFL card, they'll see that he played from 2000 to 2022. That's what it'll say. That's what it says when you look up Tom Brady's history. A lot of people want to make this comparison, and I feel like it's selfish. What Patrick Mahomes has given me and my family, just for myself, it's everything I ever wanted. God forbid I die tomorrow. I'm going to die a happy man because Patrick Mahomes gave me everything I waited for. Pat, you and I are both graduated from high school in 1988. We're both the same age. When you see the pressure, we've watched a lot of football growing up in the 70s, Pat. We've watched a lot of football. When you see the pressure on your son to get a three-peat because it's so important to match Tom Brady or beat Tom Brady in some capacity because Patrick's probably not going to play 22 years in the NFL. When you see the pressure on Patrick to get this three-peat from not only Chiefs Kingdom, but the world, do you feel like it is a bit much? Because we never saw it in our lifetime in the 70s and 80s growing up as little kids watching football. We're 54 now. Do you feel like it's too much pressure to put on Patrick to win a three-peat?
Well, we're lucky, Shaggy. We're lucky. It's something I saw in Patrick, a long, long time ago. People think I'm crazy, but I was a guy that was, making bets that he was going to be a professional athlete when he was 5 or 6 years old. So, he's been in the locker room. He's been to World Series. He's been to now Super Bowls. Now, I mean, he's been at the highest level, and his teams have always been good, but they've always been underdogs, and he's been through a lot of grounds. I mean, people see the NFL career and they think it's been like that, his whole life, but it hasn't. He went to Texas Tech. He had the pressure of having to score every time they took the field, else they were going to lose the game, and a lot of times they still lost the game. So he's been through that. So I don't think he feels the pressure. I think he's just out there trying to figure out a solution of how to win the game. So as far as, that was the first thing out of his mouth after they won the Super Bowl last year. That, hey, we're not done. We're gonna get 3. Nobody's ever done. And as far as the comparison with him and Brady, I see a lot of similarities between the two. It's just a mindset and attitude that when we take the field, we're going to be the best player out there, and we're going to win the game no matter what. No matter if I have, like golf did the other day, 5 interceptions, but we win the game. Hey, I'm good. It's not a personal stat thing. It's not, any personal pressure on myself. Hey, can I lead grown men? That's the first thing I asked him, when he told me he wanted to declare and go early. I said, can you lead grown men? He said, what does that mean? I said, well, if you're in the huddle and Michael Irvin comes up to you and says, hey, I got a wife and kids to feed, you got to give me the ball. What are you going to say? He said, well, I'm going to tell him if he get open, he'll get the ball. I said, okay, we're good. It's that mentality. Are you ready to lead grown men? And I have a text with him before every game, and I'll text him and it'll say little things I've seen. Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to work through the pocket. Then don't forget to use your feet, whatever, hey, quiet feet, whatever it may be. And I'll end it with, I love you. And as always, players make plays. And he'll text me back, and it's the same thing every time. Love you too, thanks. And once I get that text, love you too, thanks, I'm not worried about anything. I know he's going to go out there and leave it all out on the field. And if you do that, then what else can anybody ask of you?
Amen.
Yeah, wow. That's some powerful stuff, man. I'm really glad you shared that with us. And it segues right to where I want to go next, because it kind of piggies back on the conversation, because we know the biggest storyline in all of football, let alone here in Kansas City, is the three-peat. We know that is the ultimate goal. We know that the stats aren't what Patrick is worried about, because all he does care about is winning. And it's so much so that I remember the first time we ever had you on our show, on the Spoken Podcast, the thing you said to me that stuck out the most about Patrick, because I always want to get to understand his mindset as a competitor, is when you said that losing, because you remember we had you on the show right after the AFC Championship loss to the Bengals, and you said that losing hurts him more than winning makes him feel good. And I'm looking at this team right now, and obviously the three-peat is the most important part, but Pat, we both understand right now, we all sit here watching this, listening to this right now, we know the Chiefs have a real shot of doing something that no other team has ever done also, and that is to have a complete undefeated season. And, I made this analogy on our show these couple weeks ago. I said, right now in the midst of the season, it's kind of the comparison of a pitcher. And you know this, Pat, 3-4 innings in, the team seeing him, not give up a hit. No one's saying anything because it's early in the game. More than likely he'll give up a hit. But then that sixth inning comes in and he still doesn't give up a hit. Then everyone starts to kind of look around and go, hey, don't talk to him. Don't say anything. Don't touch him. But this might happen. This Bills week, to me, if the Chiefs go 10-0, this is when that sixth inning starts to happen for the Chiefs, in my opinion. So I look at this from a competitor side of things, and I'm thinking, yes, the three-peat is the most important part, but I have to believe that Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, the other generals on this team, whenever the conversation is going to come up with Andy about resting starters or maybe, trying to just take it easy, they're going to say, over our dead bodies, we want to go out, we want to go 20-0. Is that where you think his mind is right now? I know there's things that you guys talk about that you'll never repeat, but just from an outside, just give us a little bit of taste of it. Do you think that's something he's absolutely chasing, or is it just the three-peat to be damned with the streak? What do you think that Patrick's looking at in totality?
Well, I think it's definitely the three-peat. Yes, winning all the games would be nice, but I'm not gonna doubt what Andy Reid knows. For some reason, he seems to know when to rest him and when not to rest him to get him ready for that playoff haul. If it gets to a situation where if you get to that Pittsburgh game and they're 15-0 at that time,
yep,
then it might be something that maybe thought about. But I also know that Patrick would believe that even if they did rest that game, that Carson Wentz could take them out there and win that ball game. So so that's going to be tough. I mean, I know Patrick likes to play and all that, but then too, I know that him and Travis and some of those guys that have been on this ride know what it also takes to get a chance to win the Super Bowl. They lost one. That still stinks in his mind. So I know the ultimate goal for him is to try to win the Super Bowl and get that three-peat. And or if that happens, then the next thing on his mind is going to be try to get four. So yeah, another team is like Ricky Henderson once told me. I was telling him I think he was like 40 hits shy of 3,000, and he owned all these records and everything. And I said to him, I said, Ricky, I said, do you realize you can get 3,000 hits? And he goes, 3,000 hits? What's that? I said, well, the 3,000 hit club. I mean, it's only a certain amount. He said, I'm not worried about that. He said, it's a lot of other people don't done that. He said, I want to do stuff that nobody's done. So, the Dolphins have had an undefeated season, so I don't think Patrick's worried about that. I think he's worried about doing something that nobody else has ever done.
I love it.
Fair
Well
enough.
said.
Fair enough.
I love it. I love it, Pat. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, man, I just want to ask a lighthearted question. You guys are obviously, you and Patrick, so close to this day and bonded by sports from the time he was born on to now. But I want to ask you this: what are some other things that back in the day that Patrick was into that you guys did together? For instance, I used to make my dad take me to WWE wrestling events all the time, or Monster Jam. What are some things that you guys used to do together that stand out, and stuff that he was kind of into back then that you guys used to do together?
Well, he was into whatever I was into, because he had made up his mind, that one day he was going to be able to beat me, and no matter what it is. If I threw 94 in high school, he was going to throw 95. If I averaged this amount of points in basketball, he was going to try to average more. But I had once told him that he'd never ever beat me in golf, and he started beating me like 3 years ago. He finally started beating me, and I haven't beat him since. So, I think it's whatever I do, he's going to try to be better at it. But hey, we were pretty much sports all the time here. Not a lot of other room for other stuff, because he knew every stat of everybody. So whatever those stats were, if he liked that guy, he was going to be one RBI better, or ERA 1 point lower, or whatever. So just whatever he could do to one up whoever he was looking at, that's what he's always tried to do.
Oh, wonderful. Pat, we love you so much, man. Thank you so much for coming on right here in the middle of the season. Things are marching on. Big game on Sunday. Buffalo Bills, 3:25 Central Time here. Chiefs and Bills. Thank you so much, Pat Mahomes.
Well, thank y'all for having me, Shaggy. Anytime, man. Just do what you did today. Just give me a call or whatever. Hey, y'all gonna do Buffalo without me though, so I'm gonna go watch the other kid play. And
good luck, Graham. Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
All right. Take care, Pat. Love you, man. Thanks. Till next time, pal.
All right. See y'all.
Always an honor. Take care.
That is
that guy.
Pat Mahomes Sr., the father of Patrick Lavon Mahomes II, who was the father of Patrick Lavon Mahomes III, a.k.a. Bronze, a.k.a. Squish.
I think that's Clint's favorite nickname out there. Maybe more than they call Leo Chanal, John Cena. Yeah. I think Clint likes Squish more. So.
I do. I love little Squish, and he's going to be. He might be a little bad dude himself. He's kind of coming into his own. Like maybe you see he's got like the blonde hair, like the Hulk Hogan hair sticking out the back. Like you might have like, I could see like some blonde hair sticking out the back of a helmet, like a quarterback, bronze Mahomes. Like, come on. Like, that's pretty great. And maybe we'll keep Squish forever, and he'll be Squish Mahomes here in Kansas City in 2048. Yeah.
Well, we got some news today. I know we're going to have Mike Lodish join us soon about Isaiah Pacheco and these returns of these players. I need you guys to fill me in on this, because they were talking about them returning to practice, but there's still a time for they could still return to practice, but I don't think they really need to play until December. What do you guys think about the news that broke today, and when you think we'll see these guys?
Well, I'll start with this. This is just good news no matter what, because it tells you that there's an actual time frame these guys coming back in the near future. I would tend to agree with you, Shaggy, that the team might not necessarily need them at this time, but we have to remember something, and it goes for both players. They're going to need time to get their bodies back in motion of playing football, because of the fact that both of them suffered leg injuries. This isn't like Hollywood Brown, where he has a shoulder injury, but he's been able to run and keep his cardio intact and do things that, most football players are able to do without actually playing the actual games. This is something that's affected them from being able to do really anything mobility-wise. So Omenahu and Isaiah Pacheco need that time, and this is why I tweeted out today that a lot of people are asking the question about Pacheco and Kareem Hunt and how it's going to be split up. And we talked about this on our show on Saturday, and Trevor made a really good point too. Our co-host, he said, you got to remember that Trevor suffered the same exact injury in his life, and how long it took for him to be able to really have strength in that leg again. He was about 24 when that happened, so it's right around the same age of Pacheco at 25. So it's going to take Pacheco, even when he comes back and he is playing football, a couple weeks at least to really get some strength back in that leg where he can pivot and make motions that he normally would make and feel comfortable doing it mentally. So even though they may not need them back right now, it's good to get them back now because the postseason is going to be here before we know it. And Charles Omenihu played a massive role in the Chiefs' defense before tearing his ACL against the Ravens. He was an absolute stud. And we know that Pacheco, every single year he's played, has played a pivotal role in the Chiefs winning a Super Bowl. So I like to believe that getting them back as soon as possible is a good thing, but I know that Andy Reid and the guys, the coaching staff, the medical staff, are going to know how to kind of work them in to the progression of being a full-time player again. So you're right, but I think that it's good to get them back now at this time before the postseason gets here.
And Noah, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, what this does basically is opens up the 21-day practice window.
Yes.
This takes them, off of IR, and that's a different designation than Juju Smith-Schuster, who was not on IR. And so he also would possibly be able to return to practice this week. And he seemed like 2 days ago, Andy Reid said that Juju was farther along than the other two. So we'll see about Juju this week, because that's another thing. And that's another player that, Noah, we talked about the Chiefs really need. You really need to see Juju back to kind of take pressure off D-Hop, to make this offense just start running a little more smoothly. And we never really thought we'd have to say that, but yeah, here we are. We need Juju back now.
Yeah, we do, because you see in what Xavier Worthy's doing out there, it's not coming together like we had hoped under like we saw from Rashee Rice last year. And I don't know what this Xavier Worthy thing's going to be. Maybe it just takes him a little longer to develop. Nothing says, Rashee Rice developed in 8-9 games. That's got to be the same exact thing for Xavier Worthy. Maybe it takes him a little more time. We'll wait and see how that works, but we definitely need Juju to get in there to be a more reliable option, someone else that Mahomes can go to, because right now it's DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, Noah Gray, and nobody. So it'd be nice to get a fifth guy that Mahomes can trust and go to in Juju. So we're looking forward to him coming back, actually. And that's didn't have that on my bingo card for this season because he didn't start the year here. And I just did not think I'd be saying that. But the Chiefs do weird things like win a Super Bowl last year when they lead the league in drops. So I'm used to it now.
There's no what ifs. We can't play the what if game at 9-0, guys, but we're in it. We're deep in it. We're in this. So Shane, like, do you ever think about the fact that, what this offense was and what it was built to be? And it, like I said, playing the what if game it really isn't really prudent to do that, because you wouldn't have DeAndre Hopkins if Rashee Rice isn't hurt and Hollywood Brown's not hurt. But to know what this offense was built to do, and like we're talking about, man, they just keep finding a way to win. We got to skate by. Mahomes has only 12 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Well, this offense was built to be a completely different offense. And so to me, you're seeing the fruits of that and sort of the ramifications of that. And now you're trying to kind of play catch up a little bit. But I think that you start hitting some of these to Xavier Worthy that hopefully would start occurring. DeAndre Hopkins gets more acclimated. I think that there's still room for growth. But man, what could have been, we see it, right, but you're 9-0. So I guess my hands are tied here.
Well, I think we have to recognize the concerns. If we're going to play a style of football, that Patrick Mahomes didn't have in 2018, 19, and 20, when it was flying high stats, passes, 50 touchdowns, now it's like, well, we don't have this guy's hurt and that guy's hurt. Well, the core of the team has to stand, and the core of the team has to be sufficient. And we got a problem. Left tackle Wanya Morris has got a bum knee. Kingsley Suamataia came back and he was really bad. Is his confidence shot? If we're going to play any kind of football, whether it's the circus, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, if we're just going to go to simple move the chains, just get us first down, time of possession, hold on the ball 10 minutes longer than our opponent. If that's going to win, we have to have at least an average left tackle. So it's a concern, especially after, last Sunday. So regardless of if it's high flying or if it's just slow the game down, muddy it up, we got to have a left tackle that can protect Patrick Mahomes. And right now It's the only concern at being 9-0. Don't get me wrong. I love being 9-0, Clint, but I'm concerned about Patrick Mahomes getting knocked all around.
So is Dan Orlovsky. And, there was the graphic right there. And I'm because I thought, you guys did bring up left tackle Shane, and I thought we'd lived in an era where we cared about others, especially friends' mental health. I guess not, because here we are. But no, Lance, honestly, I am going to you, Lance. This is your area of expertise. It's certainly not mine. Kingsley Sumatia coming in, obviously got beat a couple of times, and the Denver front four is as dominant as you'll see, as the team will see all year. With Wanya Morris's health now in flux, what do you do if you're Andy Reid here going forward, as this is obviously now a glaring issue? How do you balance this?
You guys ever heard the term, you made your bed and you got to lay in it?
Yep.
That's what the Chiefs have to do.
Donovan Smith.
What? And I'm glad you brought that name up, because for some reason now people think that guy's a savior, a guy that they couldn't count on last season when he had no competition. They had to throw Wanya Morris over there, who was never intended to be the left tackle. That was by necessity. That was by desperation, because Donovan Smith was brought here to be the guy, and he wasn't even reliable health-wise and was getting beat a lot last season. My point of this is this. I know that everybody thinks I'm just a Kingsley apologist at this point. No, I'm just a guy that looks at it the same way that we look at any other draft pick. We just 5 minutes ago talked about Xavier Worthy and how you have to give him time and how he's not developed, but they're going to continue to give him reps. They're going to continue. Up to about 5 weeks ago, they were still giving Sky more reps. They were giving guys multiple opportunities to finally show what they're worth, and that is a far less valuable position in the grand scheme of things when it comes to protecting your quarterback. So I get it. My point, though, is we look at the way the Chiefs have handled this entire offseason leading to where we are this very second. They said Kingsley's the guy. Now they're trying to make it sound like, well, he's just not ready. How did you not know that when you have Andy Heck and Andy Reid running the show? I'm not saying they got to be perfect here, but you brought zero competition into the camp to make a job worth earned from Kingsley. But everything we heard was glaring. Oh my God, he's so good. He's such an athlete. He got everybody to buy in. I was bought in before they ever got him. This is a guy that I believed in from before day one. And the reason I still believe in him and the reason I'm still going to defend him is because of the fact that I believe the Chiefs continue to mishandle this situation. They are trying to play it safe because, yes, Kingsley has got beaten on a series of plays. But if you look at the way they've handled it from day one, they put him out there on an island week one, his first ever game, against the fifth best pass rush in the league right now. The Ravens are fifth in sacks and fifth in quarterback pressures. They put him on an island day one. Of course he struggled. Then the very next week, they go up against Trey Hendrickson, who is leading the league in sacks, I might add. The Bengals have 17 sacks this season. He's got 10 of them. And he is the one that's out there on an island against that guy. And now they want to tell us when he goes up against a Falcons team who's one of the worst pass rushers in the league, they're not playing him in that week, which would have been the perfect week to show what he could do against an inferior pass rush and let him get some cuts and let him gain some confidence. But no, they put Wanya Morris right back over there. And Wanya Morris is showing us he's not capable both physically and mentally. He's been getting beat left and right, and he's hurt again. He is not capable of doing the job physically. So although Kingsley may not seem like a great option right now because he's still getting beat at times, this is the bed that Andy Reid and the Chiefs have made. You got to make the most of it. You got to get this kid in there and teach him the ways of making this work, because they did not bring Donovan Smith back for a reason. And it's because he's not good enough either. Why hasn't any other team picked up Donovan Smith? There's left tackle needs all across this league.
What about Juju and Kareem, though? Why didn't anyone pick them up? And they're doing
well, that's great. And here's the reason why. Because we know that Kareem Hunt had been talks with the Chiefs for months. They were waiting for the right time to bring him back. I can't answer on Juju Smith-Schuster. The only thing I can speculate on is that knee. People were saying his knee was shot. That came to be an absolute farce. I think that Juju wanted to play for a contender in a place he was familiar with. So those were familiarity conversations. Maybe Donovan Smith's the same way. My thing is that is the second most valuable position on a franchise, on a roster, is the left tackle. And if you don't have a job by now in this portion of the season, either you're complete dense or you're not that good. That's the way I look at this. So Donovan Smith is not a savior. They want to bring him in, fine, but it's only to replace Wanya Morris. They brought Kingsley in here to be the guy. I think they totally made a mistake in cutting it too short and not letting him cut his teeth in that position, because they knew he was going to be raw. They knew he was going to be a guy that was going to have to learn on the job. What did you guys expect? I mean, you guys remember what I was saying from day one. I didn't say he's going to dominate day one. He's going to turn into Jonathan Ogden. I never said those things. I said it's going to take him some time. And that's exactly what should have happened. But they didn't give him that time. He's played a total of, 8.5 quarters in his career, and people are already calling him a bust. It's insanity to me. Let this guy work his way in. And if he's wrong, if he's not the guy, then know. But right now, you can't say with any definitivity that we know he is or isn't what we expect him to be or not be.
Well said, Lance. To echo Lance's sentiments, 11 years ago when the Chiefs had the number 1 overall pick, they took left tackle Eric Fisher. And what they did from after when they drafted him, they protected Eric Fisher. They said he's not going to play left tackle at all his rookie season. He's going to be the backup right tackle. Because when the 2013 season started, Brandon Albert played left tackle. Donald Stevenson played right tackle. Brandon Albert was going into his last season of his contract. It was obvious they were going to let him go. But Brandon Albert got hurt and missed 4 games. So what did they do? They took Donald Stevenson from right tackle and put him at left tackle, Stevenson at left tackle, and they brought in Eric Fisher to play right tackle. I called Sports Talk Radio and I asked, why don't they, during the season, why don't they at least have their number 1 overall pick play backup left tackle? And they said, well, if he is in and has to play left tackle, if he doesn't play it very good, it's going to destroy his confidence. And you do not want to destroy his confidence for the future. The Chiefs went above and beyond to protect Eric Fisher, who was the number 1 overall pick. Kingsley Suamataia did not get that same protection. Granted, he was near the end of the second round, but they did not give Kingsley Suamataia the same treatment, they didn't go about it the same way. So now you're asking yourself, okay, is Kingsley's confidence shot? Can he go back in? If they decide next year to make him the left tackle, is his confidence going to be shot? That's my concern, is how they went with Eric Fisher and how they went with Kingsley to be the left tackle of the future.
Yeah, we got James T. Kirk. Donovan is unsigned because it is the way it is. Not every player is immediately signed after the end of the season. Nobody knows why Smith is unsigned except for Smith in the NFL. And I just wanted Donovan Smith just as an insurance policy in case what's happened. And as we see, Wanye Morris isn't quite cut out to be a left tackle. Kingsley Suamataia, yes, it was maybe just that one play against Nick Benito, but you talked about his athleticism. He looked like the most unathletic man in the NFL on that play. Got beat from the jump, didn't get out there, didn't kick fast enough, wasn't even close. So I would have liked an insurance policy that the Chiefs don't have, and now I don't know what they do at left tackle except pray.
Oh, and then we'll get to talk about this next year too, and the year after that, because guys, offensive line play in the NFL is in flux every week. It is. I mean,
we lost Joe Tooney. Wanye Morris isn't cut to be a left guard. What do we do?
Yeah, all I know is that the ratings boost that this offensive line segment has given us, guys, I could never repay you for it. It is. Their numbers are booming. Business is good. And they love offensive line talk, but no, this is and then this is a glaring issue. This is something that I am okay with here. We needed to certainly address it. If not this week, then when? So yes.
Clint, were you concerned in 2013? Wow, they're not playing their number 1 overall pick at all. Not even a backup left tackle.
Shane, please understand when I tell you, I will never and was never in my life, nor will I ever be concerned about anything to do with an offensive line. And I'm dead serious when I say that. Play the guys you have. I don't give a crap who's playing left tackle. I don't care. It's the same thing. We could be yelling about this when Orlando Brown was here, when you traded a first. Well, this isn't quite working. He's a run blocker. He played right tackle. I don't know. We've tried to fix this problem since Andy Reid got here. I don't care who plays on that position. I don't, and I never will.
I'm sorry I threw that to you.
Either.
Well, I wanted to address the comment that we actually have here on one of our listener viewers. They said something I find interesting. They said that we don't have the luxury of developing a left tackle in week 11 of the season with a 3-peat on the line. We need experience at that position. Okay, once again, This was the bed the Chiefs made. I didn't make this bed, guys. I'm not the one that drafted Kingsley and then kept the room as is. This is clearly what they wanted. This is clearly what the Chiefs wanted. They could have signed Donovan Smith at any point this offseason, and they didn't do it. That tells me they didn't want Donovan Smith, and then they were also equally confident in Kingsley becoming the guy day one because he was the guy day one. We saw Creed Humphrey. We saw